viernes 13, no es cierto, viernes 14 de noviembre de 2025, desde Mérida, Yucatán. Continúo con la descripción de esta obra de Pablo Picasso, titulada originalmente L'Enfant au Pigeon. Espero que la pronunciación sea correcta. Y bueno, la descripción será en inglés. Y dice así. Child with a dove, in French is l'enfant au pigeon, also described as a child holding a dove or child with a pigeon is an oil-on-canvas painting by the Spanish artist Pablo Picasso, which he created in 1901 at the start of his Blue period. The painting is a depiction of a young girl in a white dress holding a white dove and represents an important transitional moment in the artist's career. It was on public display at the National Gallery in London, England for nearly 4 decades before its private sale in 2012, when it achieved a price of £50 million. Esta información que doy es básicamente la misma que di en el video anterior en español. Ahora vamos con el trasfondo o background. Child with a Dove was painted in 1901 when Picasso was 20 years old and was still struggling to make his mark at the start of his artistic career. Picasso first visited Paris from October to November 1900. He returned for a second spell in Paris in May 1901 to prepare for a joint exhibition in June 1901 with Francisco Iturrino at Ambroise Volard's Galerie, Galeries Vollard on Rue Lafitte. The exhibition was a success and Picasso's reputation as an artist began to spread. Towards the end of the year, Picasso moved away from the rapid impressionistic brushwork that had won him praise towards a flatter, abstracted presentation with blocks of color outlined in black, a style that is typical of his Blue period. Description. Child with a Dove is an oil painting on canvas and measures 28.5 inches or 73 centimeters by 21.25 inches or 54 centimeters. It is signed by Picasso on the center left of the painting. It depicts a girl or a boy with short ginger hair wearing a white gown tied at the waist with a blue sash. The subject stands holding a white dove in both hands beside a bowl with brightly colored segments like a color wheel. The background is painted flatly as an abstracted blue sky and green grass. The items in the scene, such as the girl's hair, the bowl, and the dove's feathers, are suggested by their shapes, yet display very little detail. The perspective is limited and implied only by the girl's arms and folds of her dress. The work has been interpreted in several ways. It can be read as a picture of the innocence of childhood. It may be an experiment in abstraction due to the simplified shapes and reduction of detail. It may also be regarded as a commentary or critique on color theory, as it displays large blocks of color. The girl's bright orange hair is set against the blue sky, and her white dress is set against green grass. With these elements, Picasso broke convention, perhaps as a way to challenge the older generation of established artists. Esto hasta aquí el trasfondo. Ahora, ¿de dónde viene la pintura? Provenance. The painting was acquired by French art dealer Paul Rosenberg. It was bought in 1924 by a Mrs. R.I. Workman from the Alexander Wright Gallery in Glasgow, but she sold it to Samuel Courtauld in 1928. On his death in 1947, he bequeathed it to Christabel Maclaren, Lady Aberconway, wife of Henry Maclaren, 2nd Baron Aberconway. After the death of Lady Aberconway, the family loaned the painting to the National Gallery from 1974 to 2010, and it was also displayed at exhibitions at the Courtauld Gallery and the Tate Gallery. In 2012, the painting was sold in a private sale brokered by auction house Christie's on behalf of the Aberconway family. The price was reported as £50 million. The government imposed a temporary export ban which expired in December 2012 because no British institution was able to match the purchase price to acquire the work. It was displayed at an exhibition of Picasso's works from 1901 at the Courtauld Gallery until May 2013 and was expected to be exported when the Courtauld exhibition closed in May 2013. In April 2013, it was reported by Le Figaro that the buyer was the Qatar Museums Authority. Significance and legacy. Child with a Dove, or La Femme au Pigeon, is considered to be the earliest example of Picasso's blue period, presenting a simplified style and coarse brushwork that is reminiscent of Van Gogh and Gauguin. The presence of the dove is particularly significant as it represents peace and purity. It also had a personal significance for Picasso, who watched his father José Ruiz y Blasco paint doves when Picasso was a boy. The painting was described by Arts Council England as probably the most famous work by Picasso in a UK collection. An expert advisor's statement for Arts Council said, "It is a work that enjoys great public affection, providing an engaging mixture of radical brushwork, bold stylization, and charmingly sentimental subject matter." Lord Inglewood, chairman of the Arts Council managed reviewing committee, described the painting's departure from the UK as a great shame and said of the painting, "Child with a Dove is an iconic Picasso painting and has a long history in British collections. It is one of Picasso's key early works and marks a transitional moment in his career, the move into his much celebrated blue period." Jonathan Jones, for The Guardian, summarized the significance of the painting. In this painting, the artist, who was to reveal his inner male violence in paintings of savage bullfights, shows his sweet and loving side, a simple joy in life. Child with a Dove is, however, more revolutionary than it might seem. It has a primitive clarity no 19th century artist was capable of. Building on the insights of Gauguin, this painting by the young Picasso, it dates from 1901, his 20th year breaks out into a new visual language of complete boldness and human directness. The dove the child holds would of course become one of Picasso's personal additions to modern symbolism. The dove of peace as he was to let fly during the Cold War. Pablo Diego, José Francisco de Paula, Juan Nepomuceno, María de los Remedios, Cipriano de la Santísima Trinidad Ruiz y Picasso nació el 25 de octubre de 1881 en Málaga, España. Was a Spanish painter, sculptor, printmaker, ceramicist, and theater designer who spent most of his adult life in France. One of the most influential artists of the 20th century, he is known for co-founding the Cubist movement, the invention of constructed sculpture, the co-invention of collage, and for the wide variety of styles that he helped develop and explore. Among his most famous works are the photocubist Les Demoiselles d'Avignon from 1907 and the anti-war painting Guernica, 1937, a dramatic portrayal of the bombing of Guernica by German and Italian air forces during the Spanish Civil War. Beginning his formal training under his father, José Ruiz y Blasco, aged 7, Picasso demonstrated extraordinary artistic talent from a young age, painting in a naturalistic manner through his childhood and adolescence. During the first decade of the 20th century, his style changed as he experimented with different theories, techniques, and ideas. After 1906, the Fauvist work of the older artist Henri Matisse motivated Picasso to explore more radical styles, beginning a fruitful rivalry between the two artists, who subsequently were often paired by critics as the leaders of modern art. Picasso's output, especially in his early career, is often periodized While the names of many of his later periods are debated, the most commonly accepted periods in his work are the Blue period from 1901 to 1904, the Rose period from 1904 to 1906, the African influence period from 1907 to 1909, analytic cubism from 1909 to 1912, and synthetic cubism from 1912 to 1919, also referred to as the Crystal period. Much of Picasso's work of the late 1910s and early 1920s is in a neoclassical style, and his work in the mid-1920s often has characteristics of surrealism. His later work often combines elements of his earlier styles. Exceptionally prolific throughout the course of his long life, Picasso achieved universal renown and immense fortune for his revolutionary artistic accomplishments and became one of the best-known figures in 20th century art.